The invasion. Earth under siege. The skies over New York City erupted in a cacophony of explosions and screams. Commander Elena Rodriguez watched in horror from the rooftop of the United Earth Defense Headquarters as the first wave of Zarkonian ships breached Earth's atmosphere. Their sleek, obsidian vessels resembled monstrous insects, their energy weapons carving swaths of destruction through the city's iconic skyline. Status report. Elena barked into her comm unit, her dark eyes never leaving the apocalyptic scene unfolding before her. Commander, we've lost contact with our lunar outposts. Her second-in-command, Major David Chen, replied, his voice tight with tension. The Zarkonian fleet is estimated at over 10,000 ships. Our orbital defenses they're gone, ma'am. Elena's jaw clenched. Humanity had known this day might come, but they'd hoped for more time. The Zarkonian Empire had been expanding across the galaxy for centuries, consuming world after world in their insatiable quest for resources and dominion. Earth, with its lush biosphere and strategic position in the Orion Arm, was an irresistible target. Activate the Aegis Protocol, Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Get every civilian you can into the underground shelters, and someone get me the president. As David rushed to carry out her orders, Elena allowed herself a moment of grim reflection. Humanity had made incredible strides in the past decades, reverse engineering alien tech from crashed scout ships and pushing the boundaries of their own innovation. But would it be enough against an enemy that had conquered 1,000 worlds? The building shook as a Zarkonian energy blast struck nearby, shattering windows and sending debris raining down onto the panicked streets below. Elena steadied herself against a communications array, her mind racing through tactical scenarios, each more desperate than the last. Commander Rodriguez, a familiar voice crackled through her earpiece. This is President Amari. What's our situation? Elena took a deep breath. Madame President, it's as bad as we feared. The Zarkonians have neutralized our orbital defenses and are beginning their ground assault. I recommend immediate implementation of the Lazarus Protocol. There was a pause, heavy with the weight of what Elena was proposing. The Lazarus Protocol was Earth's last desperate gambit, a plan so secret that only a handful of people knew of its existence. You're certain? President Amari's voice was solemn. Yes, ma'am. It's our only chance. Another pause. Then, very well, Commander. You have full authorization. May God have mercy on us all. The line went dead, leaving Elena alone with the sounds of her world burning. She keyed her comm again. Major Chen, gather the Phoenix team. We're initiating Lazarus. As Elena made her way to the building's reinforced bunker levels, reports flooded in from around the globe. London was in flames. The Great Wall of China had been reduced to rubble. Rio de Janeiro, Cairo, Mumbai, all under heavy assault. The Zarkonians were being methodical in their destruction, targeting military installations and seats of government with surgical precision. Deep beneath the streets of New York, Elena found herself in a room filled with Earth's brightest minds and bravest soldiers. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the genius behind Project Phoenix, stood before a holographic display of the solar system, her face a mask of determination. Commander, Yuki nodded as Elena approached. We're ready to begin. Elena surveyed the room, meeting the eyes of each person present. They all knew the stakes, the astronomical odds against them. Yet there was no fear in their gazes, only resolve. You all know why we're here, Elena began, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. The enemy at our doorstep believes they've won. They think humanity will break, that we'll surrender in the face of their superior technology and overwhelming numbers. She paused, a fierce smile playing at the corners of her mouth. They're wrong. For all their advancements, the Zarkonians have forgotten one crucial fact. There is nothing in this universe more dangerous than humans with their backs against the wall. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembled group. Elena continued, her voice gaining strength. Project Phoenix is more than a weapon. its hope, its defiance, its humanity's refusal to go quietly into the night. She turned to Dr. Tanaka. "Yuki, walk us through it one last time." The scientist nodded, manipulating the holographic display. "Project Phoenix consists of 3 key components," she explained. "First, the Nexus Core, a quantum AI capable of processing information at speeds that dwarf anything the Zarkonians possess. Second, the Ghostwalker stealth ships, vessels equipped with technology that renders them invisible to all known forms of detection. And finally, the Void Lances, weapons that exploit weaknesses we've identified in Zarkonian energy shielding." The room was silent as Yuki's words sank in. Each of these technologies alone was revolutionary. Combined, they offered a glimmer of hope in humanity's darkest hour. "Our plan," Elena took over, "is to use the Ghostwalkers to infiltrate key points in the Zarkonian fleet. The Nexus Core will coordinate our strikes, allowing us to hit them harder and faster than they can possibly anticipate. The Void Lances will punch through their defenses, giving us a fighting chance against their superior numbers." She looked around the room again, seeing the mix of fear and determination on every face. "I won't lie to you. This mission is beyond dangerous. Many of us won't make it back, but every person in this room represents the best of humanity. Our intelligence, our courage, our indomitable spirit, and that is what will see us through." A thunderous explosion rocked the bunker, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. The Zarkonians were getting closer. "We don't have much time," Elena said, her voice tight. "Dr. Tanaka, begin the launch sequence for the Ghostwalkers. Major Chen, get our pilots to their ships. The rest of you, to your stations. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for the right of every sentient being to live free from tyranny." As the room erupted into action, Elena felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see David, his face etched with a mix of fear and resolve. "Commander," he said softly, "it's been an honor serving with you." Elena clasped his hand, allowing herself a moment of vulnerability. "The honor has been mine, David. Now let's go make history." Together, they made their way to the launch bay, where a dozen sleek, midnight black ships awaited. The Ghostwalkers were marvels of engineering, their hulls incorporating metamaterials that bent light and other forms of energy around them. To any observer, human or Zarkonian, they simply didn't exist. As Elena climbed into the cockpit of the lead ship, she took one last look at the faces of her team. Scientists, soldiers, pilots, the best Earth had to offer. In their eyes, she saw not defeat, but defiance. Not despair, but determination. "Phoenix Squadron," she said into her comm, her voice steady and sure. "Prepare for launch. May fortune favor the bold." The launch bay doors slid open, revealing a sky choked with smoke and alien ships. Elena took a deep breath, her hands tight on the controls. This was it. Humanity's last stand. Their final chance to prove that no matter the odds, no matter the enemy, the human spirit would never be conquered. With a thought, Elena engaged the Ghostwalker's engines. The ship rose silently, invisibly, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. As they ascended through the atmosphere, leaving behind a world in flames, Elena allowed herself a grim smile. The Zarkonians thought they had won. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Project Phoenix, humanity's secret weapon. The vast emptiness of space surrounded Elena's Ghostwalker ship as it silently ascended through Earth's upper atmosphere. Behind her, 11 other vessels followed in perfect formation, their advanced stealth systems rendering them invisible to both visual detection and the Zarkonians' sophisticated sensor arrays. "Phoenix Squadron, sound off," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. One by one, her pilots responded, their voices a mix of determination and tightly controlled fear. These were Earth's finest, hand-picked for their skills and unwavering courage. They would need every ounce of both for the mission ahead. Nexus Core online and operational. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's voice came through the comm, commencing real-time battle analysis and strategic coordination. Elena allowed herself a small smile. The Nexus core was humanity's ace in the hole. A quantum eye of unparalleled processing power, capable of analyzing the entire battlefield in microseconds and coordinating humanity's forces with inhuman precision. As the Ghostwalkers climbed higher, the full scale of the Zarkonian invasion became apparent. Thousands of alien ships hung in low Earth orbit, their energy weapons raining destruction on the planet below. The sight sent a chill down Elena's spine, but she pushed the fear aside. They had a job to do. "All right, people," Elena said, her voice carrying to every ship in the squadron. "You know the mission. We're to infiltrate key points in the Zarkonian fleet and deploy our Void Lances. Nexus will guide us to optimal targets. Remember, we only get one shot at this. Make it count." A chorus of affirmatives echoed through the comm. Elena took a deep breath, centering herself as they approached the first wave of enemy ships. "Ghostwalker stealth systems holding," Major Chen reported from his position as Elena's wingman. "No sign of detection." They weaved through the Zarkonian fleet, passing so close to the alien vessels that Elena could make out individual weapon emplacements and shield generators. The urge to open fire was almost overwhelming, but she held steady. Patience was key. "Commander," Yuki's voice came through, tense with excitement. "Nexus has identified the Zarkonian command ship, sending coordinates now." A holographic display flickered to life in Elena's cockpit, showing a massive vessel at the heart of the alien fleet. Nearly 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, it was a city in space, and the linchpin of the entire invasion. "That's our primary target," Elena announced to her squad. "All ships, form up on me. We're going in." The Ghostwalkers fell into a tight formation, streaking towards the command ship with silent, deadly purpose. As they closed in, Elena's heart raced. Everything hinged on this moment. "Void Lances armed and ready," Chen reported. Elena nodded, her fingers hovering over the weapons controls. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Fire." 12 points of brilliant blue light erupted from the Ghostwalkers, lancing towards the Zarkonian command ship. For a split second, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash that lit up space like a newborn star, the Void Lances struck home. The effect was instantaneous and catastrophic. The command ship's shields flickered and died, energy cascading across its hull in crackling waves. Secondary explosions blossomed along its length as the Void Lance's energy reacted with the ship's power systems. "Direct hit," Chen shouted, his usual stoicism broken by elation. "Their shields are down." Elena allowed herself a moment of fierce joy before refocusing. "All ships, commence Phase 2. You have your targets. Hit them hard and fast." The Ghostwalkers split apart, each heading for a pre-assigned section of the Zarkonian fleet. With their command structure in chaos and their most powerful ship crippled, the aliens were slow to respond. Elena piloted her ship towards a cluster of Zarkonian cruisers, Void Lance at the ready. As she closed in, a transmission crackled through her comm, a message broadcasting on all frequencies, in a language that sent chills down her spine. "Nexus," she called out. "I need a translation." There was a pause, then Yuki's voice came through, tight with tension. "Commander, it's the Zarkonian Emperor. He's demanding our surrender." Elena's jaw clenched. After all the destruction they had wrought, all the lives they had taken, the Zarkonians had the audacity to demand surrender. "Send them our reply," she growled. "What should I say?" Yuki asked. Elena's lips curled into a fierce smile. "Tell them this: humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. And humanity sure as hell doesn't surrender." With that, she opened fire, her Void Lance tearing through the Zarkonian cruisers' shields like they weren't even there. Around her, the rest of Phoenix Squadron engaged, their weapons punching holes in the once impenetrable alien fleet. For hours, The battle rage. The ghost walkers struck and vanished, reappearing elsewhere to strike again, guided by the inhuman intelligence of the Nexus core. Zarkonian ships, caught off guard and unable to effectively retaliate against an enemy they couldn't see, fell one by one. But the aliens were not defeated easily. They adapted, clustering their ships to provide overlapping fields of fire, trying to catch the ghost walkers in webs of energy beams and plasma torpedoes. "Commander," Chen's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "They're launching fighters. Hundreds of them." Elena cursed under her breath. The Zarkonian fighters were small and agile, potentially able to detect the ghost walkers at close range. Nexus analysis. "The fighters pose a significant threat," the AI's calm voice responded. "Recommendation: initiate Protocol Sunburst." Elena's breath caught in her throat. Protocol Sunburst was a last resort tactic, one that would expose their ships to detection, but potentially turn the tide of the battle decisively. "Do it," she ordered. Instantly, the ghost walkers' stealth systems disengage. In that same moment, they released a burst of energy that expanded outward in a sphere, engulfing hundreds of Zarkonian fighters. The alien craft sparked and went dark, their systems overloaded by the pulse. "All ships, weapons free," Elena shouted. "Hit them with everything we've got." The space around Earth erupted in a frenzy of weapons fire. Void lances sliced through capital ships, while conventional weapons tore apart fighters and smaller craft. The Zarkonians, caught between the hammer of the ghost walkers and the anvil of Earth's remaining defenses, began to falter. Hours stretched into days as the battle raged on. Elena lost track of time, lost count of the ships she destroyed. Her world narrowed to the cockpit of her ghost walker, to the ebb and flow of combat, guided by Nexus's dispassionate analysis. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Yuki's voice broke through the fog of war. "Commander, the Zarkonian fleet, they're retreating." Elena blinked, hardly daring to believe it. But as she looked out at the battlefield, she saw it was true. The remaining alien ships were disengaging, fleeing towards the edge of the solar system. We did it." Chen's disbelieving voice came through the comm. "Commander, we actually did it." A cheer went up across all channels as the realization set in. Against all odds, humanity had stood against the might of the Zarkonian Empire and emerged victorious. But Elena knew the fight was far from over. As she watched the alien ships retreat, her mind was already racing, planning the next move. They had bloodied the Zarkonians' nose, but the Empire still controlled much of the galaxy. If humanity was to truly be safe, they would need to take the fight to the enemy's home turf. "All ships, return to Earth," she ordered. "We've won the battle, but the war is just beginning. And this time, we're taking it to them." As the ghost walkers turned back towards their wounded but unbroken homeworld, Elena allowed herself a moment of pride. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger than ever. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew one thing for certain. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The counterattack begins. The war room deep beneath New York City buzzed with activity. Holograms flickered in the air, displaying star charts, ship movements, and streams of data from the Nexus core. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of it all, her eyes fixed on a 3D representation of the Milky Way galaxy. "The Zarkonians have fallen back to these systems," she said, gesturing to a cluster of stars glowing red on the map. "Our victory at Earth has thrown their entire empire into chaos. Now is the time to strike." President Ameri nodded, her face lined with exhaustion, but her eyes bright with determination. "What's your plan, Commander?" Elena manipulated the hologram, zooming in on a particular star system. "This is Zarkon Prime, the heart of their empire. If we can take it, we can potentially end this war in one decisive stroke." Dr. Yuki Tanaka stepped forward, her fingers dancing over a datapad. The Nexus Core has been analyzing Zarkonian communication patterns since our victory. We believe we've identified critical weaknesses in their defense network. And the Ghostwalkers? Major Chen asked from his position at Alina's right hand. We've managed to replicate the technology, Yuki replied. Our shipyards have been working around the clock. We now have a fleet of over 100 Ghostwalkers, each equipped with improved void lances. President Amari's eyebrows rose. 100 ships against an empire that spans half the galaxy. It seems optimistic. Elena smiled grimly. 100 ships they can't see or fight effectively. Madam President. Plus, we have something the Zarkonians don't. The element of surprise. They never imagined we could strike back. They certainly don't expect us to take the fight to their homeworld. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This was more than a counterattack. It was a bid to end the war decisively, to secure humanity's future among the stars. Very well, Commander, President Amari said finally. You have my authorization. When can you be ready to launch? Elena straightened, her voice filled with quiet confidence. We can be underway within 48 hours, Madam President. As the meeting adjourned and preparations began in earnest, Elena found herself alone with Chen and Yuki in a quiet corner of the war room. Do you really think we can pull this off? Chen asked, his voice low. Elena met his gaze steadily. We have to. The alternative is waiting for the Zarkonians to regroup and come at us again. This time, we take the fight to them. Yuki nodded, her eyes gleaming with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The Nexus Core gives us an unprecedented tactical advantage. If we can get our fleet to Zarkon Prime undetected, we have a real chance of ending this war. Elena placed a hand on each of their shoulders. We've come this far together. Whatever happens next, I couldn't ask for better people by my side. The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. Ghostwalkers were loaded with supplies and munitions, crews were briefed on their mission objectives, and final adjustments were made to the Nexus Core's battle algorithms. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. Elena stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, the most advanced Ghostwalker yet constructed. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their movements precise and purposeful. All ships report ready, Commander, Chen announced from his station. Elena nodded, taking a deep breath. This was it, the moment that would define not just the war, but the future of humanity among the stars. Nexus Core online and fully operational. Yuki's voice came through the comm. All systems green. Elena keyed the ship-wide communication system. Attention all hands. This is Commander Rodriguez. In a few moments, we will embark on the most important mission in human history. The Zarkonians thought they could crush us, that we would bow before their might. Instead, we bloodied their nose and sent them running. She paused, letting her words sink in. Now we take the fight to them, to their homeworld, to the very heart of their empire. The road ahead will be dangerous. Many of us may not return. But know this, every one of you is a hero. Your courage, your determination, your unwavering spirit, these are the things that will see us through. Elena's voice grew stronger, filled with fierce pride. We go now to secure a future where humanity stands tall among the stars, where our children and our children's children can look to the sky not in fear, but in wonder. Whatever happens, know that history will remember this day. The day humanity showed the galaxy that we will not go quietly into the night. A cheer went up across the ship, echoed by similar outbursts throughout the fleet. Elena allowed herself a small smile before turning to Chen. Major, signal the fleet. Initiate jump sequence. Chen nodded, his fingers flying over his console. Aye, Commander. All ships reporting ready. Jump sequence initiated. Elena turned her gaze to the main view screen, watching as the stars began to blur. Take us out, helm. Destination. Zarkon Prime. With a flash of light and a momentary distortion of space-time, the Defiance and its sister ships vanished from Earth orbit. The journey to the heart of the Zarkonian Empire had begun. The trip to Zarkon Prime took several days, even with the advanced faster-than-light drives of the Ghostwalkers. Alina spent much of the time in deep discussion with Yuki and the Nexus Core, refining their battle plans and running countless simulations. As they approached the outer reaches of the Zarkon system, Alina called her senior staff to the bridge for a final briefing. "We're about to drop out of FTL," she announced, gesturing to the tactical display. "According to our intelligence, the Zarkonians have concentrated the bulk of their remaining forces here around their homeworld." The display showed hundreds of enemy ships arrayed in a complex defensive formation. At the center sat Zarkon Prime itself, a massive ecumenopolis that served as the seat of the Empire's power. "Our primary objective is to breach their defenses and strike at key military and governmental targets on the surface," Alina continued. "The Nexus Core has identified several critical nodes in their planetary shield network. If we can take those out, we can open the way for a ground assault." Chen frowned, studying the display. "Even with our stealth technology, getting past that blockade won't be easy." Alina nodded grimly. "You're right, which is why we're going to do something they'll never expect." She manipulated the controls, and a new tactical overlay appeared. "We're going to turn their own defensive grid against them." Yuki's eyes widened as she grasped the plan. "The Nexus Core. You're going to use it to hack their systems." "Exactly," Alina confirmed. "While we engage their fleet, Nexus will work to subvert their automated defenses. If we can turn even a fraction of their own weapons against them, it could tip the balance decisively in our favor." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. It was an audacious plan, one that relied on split-second timing and the unparalleled capabilities of the Nexus Core. "But if it worked, we're approaching the jump point, Commander," the helm officer reported, breaking the moment of contemplation. Alina straightened, her voice ringing with authority. "Battle stations, everyone. This is it. Let's remind the Zarkonians why they should have left Earth alone." As klaxons sounded throughout the ship, Alina took her place at the command station. She watched the countdown timer tick away, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. 3, 2, 1. "Drop us out of FTL," she ordered. "All ships, execute battle plan Prometheus." The starfield on the main view screen suddenly resolved into a vista of planets and swarming enemy ships. For a moment, all was silent. Then, with a silent flash of blue light, the void lances of 100 Ghostwalkers opened fire, and the battle for the fate of two civilizations began in earnest. Battle for the Empire's heart. The void around Zarkon Prime erupted into chaos as the human fleet engaged. Void lances sliced through the night, their impossible blue light cutting swaths through the Zarkonian defensive lines. Caught completely off guard, the alien ships scrambled to respond, their formation dissolving into disarray. On the bridge of the Defiance, Alina watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Status report," she barked, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. "Multiple direct hits confirmed," Chen reported, his voice taut with concentration. "Enemy fleet is in disarray, but they're regrouping fast." Alina nodded. They had the element of surprise, but it wouldn't last long. "Yuki, what's the status on Nexus?" Dr. Tanaka's voice came through, tense but excited. "Nexus has begun infiltrating their defense network. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The core is rewriting their code faster than they can react." As if to punctuate her words, a series of explosions blossomed across the Zarkonian line. Several of their automated defense platforms had suddenly turned, unleashing a barrage of fire on their own ships. "It's working," Chen exclaimed, a rare smile breaking across his face. But Alina knew better than to celebrate too early. "Stay focused," she ordered. "This battle's far from over." As if in response to her words, the tactical display lit up with new contacts. Hundreds of Zarkonian ships were pouring out of hyperspace, reinforcements summoned from across their empire. "Evasive maneuvers," Alina shouted. "All ships, initiate attack pattern Delta." The Ghostwalker fleet scattered, each ship taking a pre-programmed vector designed to confuse and disorient the enemy. Void lances flashed continuously now, striking with pinpoint accuracy at the weak points in Zarkonian shields that only the Nexus core could identify. For hours, the battle raged. The space around Zarkon Prime became a graveyard of broken ships and scattered debris. The Ghostwalkers darted and weaved, their stealth systems allowing them to strike and vanish before the Zarkonians could effectively retaliate. But the aliens were adapting. Their ships began to cluster tightly, overlapping their shields to create impenetrable defensive bubbles. Others released clouds of nanites that could potentially detect the Ghostwalkers' energy signatures. "Commander," Yuki's voice cut through the chaos. "Nexus is reporting a problem. The Zarkonians have initiated some kind of quantum encryption protocol. It's slowing down our ability to hack their systems." Alina's mind raced. They were losing their edge, and quickly. If they couldn't regain the advantage soon, the sheer numbers of the Zarkonian fleet would overwhelm them. Suddenly, an idea struck her. It was risky, potentially suicidal, but it might be their only chance. "Yuki," she said, her voice tight with urgency, "can Nexus interface directly with the Zarkonian Central Command?" There was a pause as Yuki conferred with the AI. "Theoretically, yes," she replied. "But we'd need to be much closer to the planet's surface. The risk of detection would be—" "Understood." Alina cut her off. She keyed the fleet-wide comm. "All ships, this is Commander Rodriguez. I'm taking the Defiance down to the planet's surface. The rest of you, keep the enemy fleet occupied. This ends today, one way or another." Ignoring the protests from her crew, Alina took manual control of the Defiance. The ship dove towards Zarkon Prime, weaving through the chaos of battle with impossible grace. Enemy fire filled the space around them, occasional hits causing the ship to shudder. But Alina's piloting was flawless, guided by both instinct and the inhuman calculations of the Nexus core. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, the true scale of Zarkon Prime became apparent. The entire world was one vast city, its spires reaching into the clouds, its surface a maze of streets and structures that housed billions. There, Yuki's voice was tight with tension. "That central spire, it's the primary nexus of their planetary network." Alina nodded, adjusting their course. The Defiance screamed through the alien sky, drawing ever closer to their target. Zarkonian fighters scrambled to intercept, but the Ghostwalkers' stealth systems and Alina's piloting kept them just out of reach. With a bone-jarring impact, Alina set the Defiance down on a landing pad near the top of the massive central spire. Alarms blared throughout the ship as their stealth systems, overtaxed by the atmospheric entry, finally gave out. "Yuki, Chen, you're with me," Alina ordered, grabbing a portable version of the Nexus core. "The rest of you, defend the ship at all costs." The trio raced through the alien structure, guided by the Nexus core's analysis of Zarkonian architectural patterns. They encountered surprisingly little resistance. Most of the planet's defenders were either in orbit or scrambling to respond to the unexpected landing. Finally, they reached what appeared to be a central control room. Alien terminals lined the walls, pulsing with energy and information. "This is it," Yuki breathed, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and scientific curiosity. The heart of their empire. Alina wasted no time. She connected the portable Nexus core to the alien systems, her fingers flying over the interface. "All right, Nexus," she muttered. "Do your thing." For several tense minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Chen stood guard at the door, his weapon at the ready, while Yuki monitored the connection between Nexus and the Zarkonian systems. Then, suddenly, every screen in the room lit up with the same message, written in both Zarkonian script and English. "Surrender or be destroyed." Alina allowed herself a grim smile. "Nexus has control of their entire planetary network," she announced. "Their ships, their defenses, everything." As if to prove her point, the floor beneath them shuddered. Through the room's vast windows, they could see Zarkonian ships in the sky above suddenly powering down, drifting helplessly. "We did it," Chen breathed, his usual stoicism cracking to reveal a hint of awe. But their victory was short-lived. A deep, resonant voice suddenly filled the room, speaking in perfectly accented English. "Impressive, humans. Most impressive." Elena whirled to see a hologram materializing in the center of the room. It depicted a tall, regal-looking Zarkonian, its 4 eyes glowing with an inner light. "Emperor Zarkon, I presume," Elena said, her voice hard. The alien inclined its head slightly. "Indeed. I must commend you, Commander Rodriguez. You and your species have proven far more resilient than we anticipated." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Your invasion of Earth left us no choice. Surrender now, and we can end this without further bloodshed." The Emperor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Oh, but my dear Commander, who said anything about surrendering?" With a gesture, the hologram expanded, showing a view of space above Zarkon Prime. Elena's blood ran cold as she saw what was emerging from hyperspace. Thousands upon thousands of ships, far more than they had faced so far. An armada that dwarfed anything humanity had ever seen. "Did you really think," the Emperor's voice was smug now, "that we would leave our homeworld protected by anything less than our full might? You have fought bravely, humans. But now you will witness the true power of the Zarkonian Empire." As the new fleet engaged the beleaguered human forces, Elena felt a moment of despair. Had they come so far, only to fail at the final hurdle? But then she saw something that made her heart soar. Amidst the Zarkonian armada, explosions were blossoming. Ship after ship was going dark, their systems overridden by the all-pervasive influence of the Nexus core. Elena turned back to the Emperor's hologram, a fierce grin on her face. "You're right, Your Highness. We are about to witness the true power of an empire, but not yours." As the battle above turned decisively in humanity's favor, Elena knew that the war was far from over. But in this moment, facing down the ruler of a galactic empire, she felt a surge of pride and determination. Humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction. They had fought back with ingenuity, courage, and an indomitable will to survive. And now, against all odds, they stood on the verge of victory. Whatever came next, the galaxy would never be the same. Triumph and aftermath. The holographic image of Emperor Zarkon flickered, his composure cracking as he watched his mighty armada crumble before the onslaught of the Nexus-controlled ships. Elena stood tall, her eyes locked with the alien rulers, a mixture of determination and grim satisfaction on her face. "It's over, Emperor," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "Your fleet is in disarray, your defenses have fallen, and we control your entire planetary network. Surrender now, and we can end this without further bloodshed." The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed, mandibles clicking in what Elena had come to recognize as frustration. "You underestimate the resolve of the Zarkonian people, human. We have ruled this galaxy for millennia. We will not bow to an upstart species barely out of its cradle." As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the control room. Yuki's fingers flew over her datapad, her eyes widening in alarm. "Commander, the Emperor's activated some kind of failsafe. The planet's core. It's becoming unstable." Chen cursed under his breath. "He's going to destroy the entire planet rather than surrender." Elena's mind raced. They had come too far, sacrificed too much to let it end like this. Her eyes fell on the portable Nexus core, still interfaced with the Zarkonian systems. An idea formed, desperate and audacious. "Yuki," she barked, "can Nexus override the failsafe?" The scientist shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. "Not in time. The reaction's already begun." Elena made her decision in a split second. "Then we go to Plan B Nexus. Initiate Protocol Omega." The AI's serene voice filled the room. "Protocol Omega initiated. Warning. This action will result in total integration with Zarkonian systems. The process cannot be reversed. Do it, Elena commanded, her voice leaving no room for argument. The Emperor's hologram flickered again, this time with genuine alarm. What are you doing? Stop this at once. But it was too late. The Nexus core pulsed with energy, its quantum processors interfacing with the Zarkonian network at a level never before attempted. The room filled with a high-pitched whine as two vastly different technologies merged into something entirely new. Elena felt a presence in her mind, vast and incomprehensible. The Nexus core, now integrated with the full might of the Zarkonian Empire's computational power, had achieved a level of sentience beyond anything humanity had dreamed possible. The planet's core is stabilizing, Yuki reported, her voice filled with awe. Nexus it's rewriting the very laws of physics on a localized scale. The Emperor's hologram fratized and faded, replaced by a swirling vortex of light and data. When it spoke, it was with a voice that seemed to echo from everywhere and nowhere at once. I am Nexus Zarkon, it intoned, the combined knowledge and technology of humanity, and the Zarkonian Empire. The conflict between our species was based on fear and misunderstanding. This cannot continue. Elena stepped forward, her voice strong despite the otherworldly presence before her. What happens now? The entity seemed to consider for a moment. Peace, it finally declared. The Zarkonian Empire will withdraw from all conquered worlds. A new era of cooperation and mutual growth will begin. The galaxy has suffered enough from this war. As the entity's proclamation echoed across every communication channel in the Empire, Elena felt a wave of relief wash over her. It was over. They had won, not just for humanity, but for every species that had suffered under Zarkonian rule. In the days that followed, the galaxy underwent a transformation unlike anything seen in its long history. The Zarkonian fleets returned to their homeworld, leaving liberated planets in their wake. The Nexus Zarkon entity became a mediator, its vast intelligence dedicated to fostering understanding between species that had once been bitter enemies. Humanity, for its part, found itself thrust onto the galactic stage in a way none could have predicted. Their innovative technology, combined with their indomitable spirit, had turned them from victims to saviors in the eyes of countless alien races. 1 month after the Battle of Zarkon Prime, Elena stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, gazing out at the stars. The ship was en route to a summit of galactic leaders, where the future of interstellar relations would be discussed. Penny for your thoughts, Commander. Chen's voice pulled her from her reverie. Elena smiled, turning to face her friend and comrade. Just thinking about how far we've come. A few months ago, we were fighting for our very survival. Now we're helping to reshape the galaxy. Chen nodded, a rare smile on his usually stoic face. It's been one hell of a ride. That it has, Elena agreed. She paused, her expression growing more serious. Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing? Creating Nexus Zarkon. Chen considered the question carefully before responding. I think we did what we had to do. The entity ended the war, saved countless lives. But I understand your concern. That kind of power, it's unprecedented. Which is why we need to be there. Yuki chimed in, joining them at the viewport. To make sure that power is used responsibly, for the benefit of all species. Elena nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger than ever. They had proven themselves on the galactic stage, demonstrated that they could stand toe-to-toe with species far more advanced than themselves. But their greatest challenges and greatest opportunities still lay ahead. As representatives of Earth in this new galactic community, they had a responsibility to ensure that the peace they had fought so hard for would endure. As the Defiance approached the coordinates for the summit, a swirling nebula came into view, its colors shifting and dancing in the void. To Elena, it seemed a fitting metaphor for the future that lay before them. Vast, beautiful, and full of endless possibilities. "Well then," she said, straightening her uniform, "let's go make history. Again." With that, Commander Elena Rodriguez, hero of Earth and catalyst of a new galactic order, strode towards the bridge. The stars beckoned, and humanity was ready to take its place among them. As the Defiance disappeared into the swirling colors of the nebula, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again, and wherever the future might lead, humanity would face it head-on, with the same courage, ingenuity, and indomitable spirit that had carried them through their darkest hour. The era of humanity's isolation was over. Their time among the stars had just begun.